Hello and welcome. For the China Negotiator, I'm Andrew Hubert, and this is our new series, We Gotta Win This. Episode 2, China's No Deal Option. The takeaway for today's talk. Today we're talking about BATNA. It's about best alternative to no agreements, plan B or bottom line, the no deal option. Don't let the best and best alternative fool you. BATNA is usually associated with another B word, bad, as in bad news. But since the G20 in Japan ended, it looks more and more like we are operating close to BATNA, or best alternative to no agreement, environment. So let's take a look at how each side has been doing. Today we will look at China's best alternative. And we do seem to be in a no-deal situation. How has China been managing the negotiation as we head into BATNA territory? Well, it looks like more action than planning. China seems to have misread not only the counterparty, but also the negotiating environment. But whenever you're talking about China and international negotiation, you have to factor in, are they just playing the long game? Any way you slice it, it seems that we are entering BATNA territory and China is getting hit a little bit harder than it expected, and that's a problem. So in today's talk, the Battle of the BATNAs, the China edition. What if there's no deal? The immediate observation, the tactical response, and the long-term structural adjustment. BATNA is your no-deal option. This is a situation first. It will be an action plan later. I want you to start off with the analysis. And the analysis is of your situation when you stand up and you walk away without a deal. What have you got? Your observation is a sure thing. It's what's in the bank, what's in the warehouse, what's in the database. If you do accounting and you're familiar with the quick ratio, it's the same kind of logic. In the beginning, in the analytic phase, I just want the situation, not the solution. Once you've done your analysis and you know how bad the bad news is, now you're ready for your action plan. What are you going to do as a result of this analysis? Most of the time, most negotiators faced with a BATNA situation, the response is to find a new counterparty, a new customer, a new client, a new supplier, a new source. But it could be a new method or a new process or a new business. And finally, your response to your BATNA is going to take your company in a different direction. What is going to make your company better, faster, smarter, stronger, etc.? The idea here is if part 2, the action plan, was about finding a new counterparty, what can you do to make a new counterparty find you so that you never have this problem again? You have new problems. So let's take a look at China's best alternative to no agreement. We're going to take a look first at the situation. BATNA analysis begins with an inventory of resources, capabilities, and maybe shortages. So what's China's no-deal situation? The U.S. is a competitive actor using economic and other types of force, and China should expect to see tariffs ranging from 15 to 25% on the goods it knows about for the foreseeable future. China's probably looking at 3+ years of GDP growth under 6%. But the good news is it still has its domestic markets and its network of overseas customers and suppliers that are not in the U.S. orbit. So now that we know the no-deal situation that China's faced with, we can start to look at its potential action plans. And first, develop those domestic markets. And China might do this with subsidies, and it might do it with incentives, or it could do it by making life difficult for foreign competitors. China is also going to develop the China zone, the market it's already very involved with. The pattern here is usually to send tourists, organize tours over. Then some people will invest in real estate, and then people invest in small businesses, and there'll be some large business, especially state-owned enterprise, getting involved, maybe in an infrastructure program. You can see a lot of this happening in Southeast Asia. But over time, China's going to be doing this over the entire OBOR, the One Belt, One Road, or the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative planning route. And you'll also see some form of China 2025 or Made in China 2025, some other tech program that ties China's technological progress to its well-being as a sovereign nation. And in the US and in Europe and in the United Nations and the WTO, China will maintain a low-intensity lawfare campaign to whittle away at restrictions and sanctions. But economic and market divergence has begun. And that's the long-term strategy that is going to emerge from this. China is on the way to building a mirror image of the global trade network, but this one will be based on Chinese standards, Chinese institutions, technologies, and regulations. The US and probably Northern Europe will remain on the outside, and we will have our own trade group, but China, Southeast Asia, Africa, Central Asia, the Middle East, at least selected parts of it, and Russia in some way, shape, or form is going to make up the new China zone, the new China-based economy that's going to operate largely in competition with U.S. systems. Final word, China seems to be operating at BATNA levels right now. It seems to be living with the idea of a permanently degraded global trade structure, but secure domestic and regional markets. And that seems to be its option going forward. The trajectory of China's economic and technological development is towards divergence, its own economy, its own technology, and its own international network of allies. Thanks very much. For the China Negotiator, I'm Andrew Hubert. If you enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe, and on LinkedIn, join the China Solved group, and on YouTube, subscribe to the China Solved channel. Thanks very much. I will speak to you again soon.